Welcome into Buffalo Bills Weekly, where we tell you everything you need to know about the Bills. He's Chris Brown, I'm Maddy Glab. As of late, Buffalo has been inconsistent, trading wins and losses the last 4 weeks. In the last 2 wins, it's been some of the most complete games we've seen. The offense is firing on all cylinders, averaging 36 points per game. Defensively, they're playing with a purpose, giving the ball back to the offense. The last 2 losses have been disjointed. The offense has struggled to stay on the field because they've had 6 turnovers in the last 2 losses. Defensively, they're putting just one good half of football together, allowing 26.5 points per game and just scoring 16 points per game in the last 2 losses.
Yeah, it's been rough. And I think it's the variance of play that's been the most concerning. You know, you get 2 impressive home wins against 2 perennial playoff teams in Kansas City and Tampa Bay. Scoring points is not a problem. And then they go on the road, and a lot of that goes away. And to your point, multiple turnover games. When this team has multiple turnovers, they're just 1-3 this season. Their only win was against the Bucs. You turn it over more than once on the road, you're asking for trouble.
Buffalo had multiple turnovers against Houston. Their offense struggled to get in a rhythm. Houston's pass rush was quick to pressure. Buffalo couldn't get the ball out quick enough consistently. It resulted in Josh Allen getting sacked a career-high 8 times. Chris, how do you see the offense changing based on Houston's success?
Yeah, I think they have to lean back into the run game. I mean, have we forgotten this is the #1 rushing team in football? And it's no coincidence that in their 4 losses this season, those are 4 of their fewest run play games this season. And it's not like they've gotten blown off the field in those road games where you say, oh, we got to throw the ball to get back in the game. They've kept games relatively close on the road. So I think they've just got to get back to running the football more often, especially early in games, and stick with it, because truly the way we've seen them manufacture points the best this season is when their run game leads to opportunities in the pass game.
Offensive coordinator Joe Brady said Josh Allen got hit too many times, but within that, there's a lot of things that are going on. Are we in the right scheme? Are guys getting open? Is Josh making the right decisions? Is the offensive line protecting correctly? There's so much that goes into every single play. Defensively, it's been the tale of 2 halves for Buffalo. In the first half, they're allowing teams to hang around and run the ball effectively. Second half, the lights come on. They play smart and physical and take the football away. In the last 2 games, they forced 6 3-and-outs and 2 takeaways in the second half. What will it take to make these adjustments sooner?
Yeah, I actually had a conversation with defensive coordinator Bobby Babich about that very subject. He goes, look, we're working on it. We want to make the adjustments in the 2nd or 3rd series of the game, not the 2nd or the 3rd quarter of the game. And it's been a trial to get that accomplished. And I think you have to look at what the coordinators have to work with also. We know that the defense has been short on manpower for much of the season due to injury. And I think this is a defense right now that is a little limited in terms of its speed and athleticism. We see them as tackles crop up from time to time, particularly in road games. Defenders just can't get to spots fast enough if they don't anticipate properly. They're out of position, they're trying to make arm tackles, and now there's extra yards because ball carriers are powering through run tackles. So I think that's one of the problems there. So yes, they're making good adjustments, but I think even the play callers are limited in what they feel comfortable calling because they lack manpower and athleticism and speed on that side of the ball.
Cornerback Tre'Davious White said it's all about finding that rhythm early. He said it's great we're doing it in the second half, but we have to find a way to communicate effectively and make these changes in the first half. Buffalo's still dealing with injuries. Against Houston, 7 different players were evaluated for an injury. Sean McDermott said linebacker Terrell Bernard is dealing with an elbow injury and is week to week. Right tackle Spencer Brown has a shoulder injury and is still undergoing evaluation. If those 2 can't go, who steps up in their absence?
Yeah, you're looking at Shaq Thompson wearing the green dot on the back of his helmet, and Bobby Babich or Sean McDermott will be calling the plays into him. And it's a guy that's intimately familiar with this defense. He has stepped in for Terrell Bernard in the past, did it in the Atlanta game in the second half when Bernard got injured in that contest. And look, I think you can make the argument that Shaq Thompson, when healthy, has been their most consistent linebacker this season, particularly against the run. And you know Pittsburgh's going to try to do that against Buffalo's run defense. So I'm encouraged about that replacement. And then at right tackle, it's going to be Ryan Vandemark, who stepped in the latter stages of the Houston game. Vandemark has played well when he's had to step in for Spencer Brown, but he has one heck of a matchup there with TJ Watt on his side for much of the game. I think they have to give him help for much of the afternoon. There aren't many offensive tackles in the league who can block TJ Watt one-on-one. They've got to give him some protection help, slide protection that way, tight end, running back, fullback, chipping. They've got to help him out over there.
TJ Watt also just passed his brother JJ Watt in career sacks last week. We're going to take a break, but when we return, we're giving you the best sound bites from the week, and Mitch Morse's Morse Code is coming up next.
Oh, let's start to just taking it one game at a time. Jay, that's what we've got to do. Projections of postseason and this and that. Right now we got to focus on taking it one game at a time and 1 week at a time, and embracing the grind that comes with that. So it's, there's no one crowning us of already made the playoffs, going on the road in the playoffs. We play a road game next week, and let's start there. And we've got to make adjustments to continue to get ourselves into a position to win games, and it's not going to be easy. We got to figure out a way to win one game at a time, and that's where we need to start.
Josh Allen, man, what a competitor. We talk a lot about his talents, his legs, his arms, and things of that nature, but it's the intangible quality that really captures your attention as you study tape. His ability to rise up in the moment, his will, his competitive spirit, how he finishes plays, whether it's scramble plays to keep passes alive, or when he chooses to pull the ball down and run. You got to be really conscious of what you do schematically. Man, we got a lot to be excited about. We got a lot, obviously, from a challenge perspective. It's a big ball weekend.
Welcome into Morse Code, where Bills legend Mitch Morse gives us a look at the last game and helps us break down what to expect when we move forward. Mitch, I've got to say, the mustache, it's working for you. How did that happen?
Well, I decided I wanted to look like a walrus, and so I shaved everything. No, truly, you learn even into your 30s to not write checks you don't want cashed. And the fellas at Missouri, they fought hard against Oklahoma, but in the end, we all, this last weekend, including last Thursday, it was not easy for people home or abroad. So we lived and we learned.
We lived and we learned, and now you have to deal with what you learned. I want to know how much Thanksgiving food you get stuck in that mustache when you're eating next week. We're going to check back in, okay?
Fair enough. Fair enough. I love it.
Well, we've had some time to sit with Buffalo's loss against Houston. A tough one for Buffalo, but in the second half, the defense makes some stellar adjustments, and the offense converts a 4th and 27 to give them a chance to win it. How do you sit with this loss, Mitch?
I mean, it's hard not to have that guttural reaction when you first look at the stat line or you're first looking at this game, right? It felt fairly one-sided from the jump. But when you look back at it, you take a step back, you look at it pragmatically, there was some stuff to celebrate. I thought the defense, especially in the second half, to your point, made not only adjustments, but played physical. I mean, it was just fun to see. You could feel it through the screen. And then on offense, when you had to have it, a few guys stepped up and gave us at least an opportunity to continue to be in the fight. And yes, it was not the cleanest game by any means. I mean, 8 sacks kind of hits you like a ton of bricks in the forehead. But you have to live and learn. You have to go with the punches. That was a punch in the gut if I've ever seen one. But time marches on. That's what it is about being a professional. And it's time to put your lunch pail and hard hat on, man.
You know a lot about playing offensive line because you did it for years in the NFL. Josh Allen sacked a career high 8 times, something you don't want to see. Houston's pass rush, one of the best in the league, they were really quick to pressure Allen. How do you, as an offensive line, effectively protect your quarterback when the defense gets home so quickly?
Well, it's not just one thing that leads to a sack, right? When you see 8 sacks, you think 100% in the offensive line. Now, the offensive line does carry a lot of that weight, without a doubt, right? That's their job to do. But there's coverages, there's pressures, there's blitzes, there's communication, so many facets of protection. What you do is what Bills fans don't want to hear, especially against a tremendous pass rush like that, is you keep utilizing that quick screen game. It keeps the defense honest. And then stick with your bread and butter. I mean, I thought the Bills at times kind kind of went away from the run. And what that does more than anything is just like, you're hammering the run. We had some great play action passes, I think, even off of gap schemes or zone schemes. And that gives the offensive line an opportunity not to be pass protecting out of a shotgun where guys are pinning their ears back and you have two superstars on the edge who make millions of dollars to go hunting on third downs and long. So it's not perfect. It's easy for you and me to sit here and play coach. But when you're in the thick of it, there's 1,000 things you could do differently. And that's why you play the game.
Offensive coordinator Joe Brady said basically that when he talked to us last week, saying when it comes to a quarterback getting sacked, there's so many things that happen within a play that you have to look at. It's not just the quarterback, it's not just the offensive line. It's a lot that we have to dive into and figure out how can we do better moving forward. When it comes to moving forward, Mitch, the Bills are now 7-4 on the season. It's looking like it's going to be harder and harder to win the AFC East. At this point in the season, how can a loss like this really awaken a team?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think if you look at it just for the AFC East, it's an uphill battle. Let's just call a spade a spade. That being said, every person, there's 70-something guys in that locker room, coaches, all sorts of staff. Every person finds purpose in every day differently. Every person finds a way to push themselves differently. Some folks insulate themselves from outside noise, and some folks get that fire and are constructive through garnering it. So it's at that point of the season where you just have to find a way, whatever fuels you to be the best professional. Because now it's time to be a professional. Honed in, do what you need to do, get a little nasty, play with some sauce, play with execution, all that stuff, because it is kind of nut-cutting time. Let's call a spade a spade. But that's when there's also clarity and beauty in it, right? When the pressure's at its highest, you have guys who perform at their highest. And that's what has been a staple in this locker room, and it's at the helm of that is Josh. So I think we're in for some really good football come the back part of the season.
I was going to say, you're talking about pressure. It makes me think of Josh Allen and how he comes alive in these moments. December football is owned by Josh Allen. Mitch, we want to thank you for your time. Coming up next, a new video series with Chris Brown, Games to Remember. You don't want to miss it.
We're now going to introduce you to our new video series called Games to Remember, which profiles some of the most memorable moments inside Highmark Stadium. Here's a preview with Hall of Famer Andre Reed on the comeback game. All right, here to remember it is a man with us that was instrumental in the outcome of that game back in 1993. It's Bills Hall of Fame wide receiver Andre Reed, kind enough to join us. Andre, thanks for spending some time with us.
Yes.
How does it feel like just sitting with this stadium over your shoulder, knowing how many memories you and your buddies made on that field?
Oh, my gosh. Phenomenal. A lot of great times in this stadium. Not so many bad times, if I want to say, can say it in that kind of manner. And obviously seeing what's going, across the street is going to be great when it opens up next year, to be a part of that. But yeah,
I can see it's hitting you.
Yeah, it's sad to see, the Ralph. I call it the Ralph, and I call it Rich Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
But it just happened. That's how it is. Fans are just, moving across the street.
Yeah,
that's the bottom line. Sentimental. If you probably ask a lot of guys that have played on this stadium, and on this field, this is the meat and potatoes of Buffalo.
Yeah.
And this is where the fans go and they get ready for Sundays and whatever day the game's on. They are here in full force days before. So I think the fans will, especially the ones, like I see the same lady every year right there at the tunnel when I come back for a game. And she's probably been a season ticket holder for 40 plus years.
Wow.
And I'm sure if you ask her how sentimental it is for her, it's pretty heartwarming for her too.
So let's refresh everyone's memory, because we're going to talk about the comeback game. Mm-hmm. You're an appropriate person to talk to for that, because you had kind of a big game in the second half. But let's refresh everyone's memory, because the week before, you guys are in Houston playing the Oilers, week 17. And if you win, you guys are 12-4, you get the playoff bye. It didn't go that way.
No.
You guys lose, and you fall into a four-way tie at 11-5. You lose out on the division on tiebreaker. Miami takes the division at 11-5.
Yeah.
You don't get the bye, and you got to host an AFC wildcard game against that same Houston team the very next week. How did that kind of change your guys' mindset going into the playoffs in light of how it all ended there in Week 17?
You know,
if at all.
Yeah, I don't think it changed. Might have changed some guys' mindset. I just knew that in Houston and Astrodome, which isn't there no more. You know, they imploded that. A lot of the stadiums aren't here. I just knew as soon as we knew that we had to play them again the following week, right away I thought we have them at home. Although we didn't play good and we should have got beat, we're in front of our home crowd. We got Bills fans that are going to be here. I don't think the Mafia was a part of, Bills Mafia.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
It was 12th man back then.
12th man back then. And we knew we had that behind us. So we felt good about that. And obviously we had to play better.
But
we had to play better.
Jim had a knee injury in that game, and now he's not going to suit up the next
And
week.
that
And
was
you
on
didn't
top
have
of it.
Cornelius either.
Yeah.
So
And Thurman was a little
you
banged
you
up,
got to
too.
get ready with Frank during the practice week in a hurry there.
Yeah, I had no quarrels about Frank being in there.
Okay.
I think I came in with Frank in '85,
Right.
and worked with him a lot as rookies. And Frank was a student of the game, and he knew offenses. He knew. I mean, he would talk to Marchabroda and he would talk to Marv about things. And I think that his input was really important in a lot of games on a sideline. And it just so happens he had to be in there this time. So I didn't have any recollection of him being something of not being able to play.
Yeah, no reservations.
No reservations about that.
Yeah.
I think Frank would have been ready no matter what.
Okay, so the game starts. They win the toss. They elect to receive right down the field. 80 yards, 14 plays, touchdown.
Like last week, the week before.
Yeah, right. How the game.
Yeah,
right. So
yeah.
they just picked up where they left off. By the end of the first half, it's 4 possessions for the Oilers, 4 touchdown drives, and it's 28-3. Like, you guys are going in to the halftime locker room.
Yeah.
What's the conversation? Because the score is the same as last week,
Pretty
and
much.
it only happened in one half.
So there was something about that too. I think if you would have maybe went deep and dwelled into it,
Yeah.
The fans started leaving. So I remember turning around and seeing all the fans start to leave. I go, wait a minute, we got a half left.
Yeah.
Don't count us out yet. You guys have been with us in crazy snowstorms and all kinds of stuff, but don't leave now.
Games to Remember episodes will be released weekly on BuffaloBills.com and on the Bills YouTube channel. Stay tuned as we preview Sunday's game against the Steelers.
Welcome back to Buffalo Bills Weekly. The Bills are back on the road for a game against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Week 13. Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers has a fractured left wrist. Rodgers pushed the play last week against the Chicago Bears but could not go. Head coach Mike Tomlin said he expects Rodgers to be ready for this week.
Yeah, I mean, barring a setback, we expect him to start against the Bills. He's wearing that left immobilizer cast on his left wrist, non-throwing hand, obviously. And look, this is a guy that likes to get the ball out fast to begin with, to not take hits. I think he's going to be even more apt to get it out fast this week to minimize hits on that injured wrist.
The Steelers' offense is middle of the pack, averaging 25 points per game. They rely on their quick game and yards after catch to move the football. Aaron Rodgers, like you said, second fastest time to throw at 2.76 seconds. When it comes to stopping that, what's the recipe to success?
I think they can pull a page out of their defensive playbook that they've used against Tua in recent years. They play that quarterback twice a season, and they know Tua likes to get the ball out fast. So what they try to do is shut off his first read in the progression, get him to pat the ball in the pocket, and then if he's got to scramble around, we know Tua is not a good second reaction player. Aaron Rodgers used to be one of the best second reaction players in the league. Not anymore at 41 years old. You force him to go to second and third options. Now he's no longer an anticipatory thrower. He's got to be a second reaction thrower. That could allow your pass rush to get home.
The pass rush could gain some confidence if they're able to take that first read away from Aaron Rodgers and pressure the quarterback. After a week where Josh Allen was sacked 8 times, Buffalo's offensive line wants to get back to being a steel curtain in the Steel City. Well, the Steelers have a pretty good pass rush. It's led by TJ Watt, one of the best in the game, who's absolutely relentless. They rank top 5 with 34 sacks. When it comes to getting past the pass rush and taking advantage of their weaknesses, how does Buffalo do that?
I think you got to run right at them with the run game, as I mentioned earlier. But again, much like the Steelers are going to try to do, I think the Bills have to get back to their quick release passing game. It worked exceptionally well against a very good Chiefs defense about a month ago. I think they have to get back to that here, and here's a big reason why. The Steelers defense has given up the 3rd most yards after the catch this season, over 1,500 yards in 11 games. That's a lot. So if you can get the ball in your playmakers' hands early, get it out of Josh's hands to alleviate the pass rush, let those guys make plays and get yards for you after the catch.
Buffalo is searching to get back in the win column, 7-4 on the season so far. We want to thank you for tuning in to Buffalo Bills Weekly. For Chris Brown, I'm Maddy Glab. We'll see you next week.